Its NGO, Amnesty International, is pushing the government to do more to improve the country's education system. In its latest campaign, #SignTheSmileOff, Amnesty has taken to using Verwoed's smiling face. It's calling on government to tackle the state of basic education. The campaign aims to highlight inequalities within the country's schooling system. And for more on this, I'm joined by Executive Director of Amnesty International, South Africa, Shanela Mohammed. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Jane.
Well, it's quite something that you had to take an image that is repugnant to many to highlight the disparities that are still ongoing in the country. Tell us about this campaign.
Well, you know, it's interesting that just before our session, you highlighted the thing about unemployment on the increase. And, you know, this campaign really is about those issues, you know, the issues that affect the average South African, and the lack of quality education is one of them. So, yes, we used the image of Verwoed. It's a deliberate tactic that we used because really it's about, while we, you know, our goal is not to, you know, re-traumatize people, but it's to remind people of this person who had a plan to keep people of color undereducated. And our target for this campaign is not Verwoed, it's actually this present government, because we're saying to them that, you know, here was a man, he had a plan, and you are making that plan come true. Inadvertently, we're not saying it's deliberate, but by not taking decisions to fix the education system, to fix the fallout of the apartheid era, you are making Verwoed's plan come true.
And do you think the government will even look up at those images? I mean, they're so busy involved in infighting. I mean, how do you even push this agenda through?
Well, you know, what we're saying is this campaign is really targeted at the people of South Africa, even though, you know, it's really about the state's non-delivery. But what we're saying in this campaign to the people of South Africa is, while all that infighting is happening, while millions and billions of rand is being lost to, you know, state capture, and, you know, at the end of it all, it is you who are suffering. It is your children who are not getting the education that they deserve, the quality education. I mean, South Africa spends 20% of its annual budget on education. Money is not an issue.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading a report from the IMF this morning that once again pointed to the fact that South Africa is one of the highest spending countries on education, yet the output is much lower than other countries. Tanzania spends less money than South Africa, and yet has a really great output when it comes to education.
So what is the problem then? If the money is there, I mean, it sounds like a little bit actually saying it's a lot. If the money is there, how come it's not filtering through? I mean, I know that there are a lot of people on the take, and that's why a lot of people are taking it on themselves to push through a positive agenda. But what's happening?
Well, I think that, you know, one of the things that we're pointing out in our campaign is that the way in which the state is dispersing funding, the way in which the state is tackling the issue of education, it's in a very disproportionate way. So, you know, you've got most of the previously disadvantaged communities that are, the infrastructure, Jane, is just unbelievable. I mean, we have spent 1 year studying the Eastern Cape education system, and I mean, you know, no child should be forced to go to schools where the infrastructure is dangerous, where we have pit latrines where they can fall in. So, you know, in answer to your question, I think it's just poor decisions. I don't think, I mean, I think, you know, there have been some strides. I don't want to say there haven't. I mean, we have people like Panyaza Lesufi who really does respond and stand up. And, you know, and so what we're saying, you know, is to the government as well as the people, let's get behind education, because it will solve a lot of the issues that we're dealing with now. So the fact that many people cannot get a job, and it's because they can't get quality work because they don't have the skills. So what are we doing? We need to go back. And with this campaign, which people can join us on www.signthesmileaway.org.za, we're saying sign our petition. And, you know, we're not saying a petition will resolve something overnight, but we're saying
petition.
Yes, but we're saying sign the petition, and then, you know, we're hoping to get over 10,000 signatures.
It's good to be able to hold that piece of paper up, isn't it?
But we will also fight for it to be tabled in Parliament, for the issue to be tabled in Parliament, and we would also seek an audience with the President. And we're inviting, you know, the Minister of Education, Panyaza Lesufi, to come and join us on a panel to sit down and really work together and figure out what is wrong, how do we fix it, and put the child at the center of our debates. Not power, not who's in power, but we're losing generations of children to this unequal education system.
If the child is not put in the center, better now, immediately. What are we looking at?
So, you know, the stats are frightening. I mean, you know, we're sitting, if you go back to the use of Verwoed, you know, one of the things that he was clear about is that people of color don't need mathematics. You know, they don't need sciences. What for? And if you're looking at the stats today, 61% of children in grade 4 cannot read for comprehension. You know, you've got children, 79% of children in grade 5 cannot do basic mathematics. So if you have children who cannot read or write, 80% of schools in this country do not have laboratories, Jane. 70% of schools do not have libraries. How do you get children to read when there are no books? So there are simple things that the state can do immediately. Make sure, you know, when we were looking at the Eastern Cape, one of the reasons of the low rates, children don't have textbooks. How can they do their homework or learn if they don't have a textbook? So we know there have been tenders around textbooks and all that. Where has that money gone? So first of all, accountability. But secondly, let's fix what we can fix. Cyril Ramaphosa, in his State of Nation address 2 years ago, promised that all the schools that had poor infrastructure would be fast-tracked. You know, by this year, not even a quarter of that has been done. So again, we're saying to citizens, not for your child. You know, you should not allow your children to be put in a situation where they will leave school without a future, without a quality education. And that is what we're calling on.
Shanina Mohammed, fantastic campaign. Good luck. I look forward to the outcome of that meeting.
Thank you, Jane.